Welcome back. You are watching The Morning Boat. My name is Eric Abelos. We have some really cool stuff in store for you today with the Steamboat Art Museum. So I've got this really cool video I want you to see, so sit back and take a watch.
This exhibition is a journey beginning with today's most contemporary quilters, including the more traditional artisans, and presenting a special tribute to the earliest days of quilting in our community. Welcome to the Steamboat Art Museum, located in the historic center of downtown Steamboat Springs. My name is Betsy Grasby, and I'm the Executive Director of the Art Museum. We focus on the culture and heritage of Northwest Colorado with 3 changing exhibits throughout the year, and this year we're delighted to present The Art of the Quilt, featuring 4 of Colorado's premier quilters. This is one of my very favorites of Denise Labadie's, the monastic ruins at Glendalough. I particularly love the texture of this, and it really demonstrates the wonderful way that Denise constructs these exceptional quilts as if she were the stonemason. And the texture that she provides makes me want to touch every one of these very rough stones. I am particularly drawn to Denise's quilt, Friary Wall, because of the beautiful jewel tones of the stone. She saw the wall after a rainstorm and was mesmerized by the colors. The creation of this piece allowed her to work in a whole new color palette. Our youth gallery tells the story of the quilting tradition over the last century in Northwest Colorado. We reached out to our community and were delighted with the wide variety of quilts, accessories, and quilt squares that were contributed. Quilts are truly a testament to community. David Taylor is an internationally renowned quilter and teacher. He creates quilts that are often mistaken for paintings, and his subjects are adapted from photographs using a special technique evolved from his love of jigsaw puzzles. David's quilts represent his 23 years of quilting from his beginnings in Steamboat Springs to present day. Piecing Together My Fractured Life represents a self-portrait. The fabric used to create this quilt is actually the damaged and scorched fabric that was left after the destruction of his home in 2016 by a fire in Steamboat Springs. My favorite piece of David's is his brand new Welcome Home that he just completed. This was a multi-year project, started in 2014, destroyed in the fire of his house in 2016, started again in 2018, and he worked on it consistently for 2 years. Lifelong sewists, Madeline Vale and Jackie Grimaldi, have been working together for many years. Longtime residents of Steamboat Springs, Madeline and Jackie enjoy working together on large, complex projects which challenge them both to grow as artists and designers. This quilt, entitled Happy as a Clam, is most appropriately named. It displays the really joyful combination of hundreds of pieces of brilliantly colored fabric, beautifully appliqué on this combination of several traditional patterns. Thank you so much for joining us for this tour of Steamboat Art Museum's exhibition, The Art of the Quilt. I look forward to seeing you soon.
So that video is really, really cool, but we will do one even better. We've got live in-house this morning, Betsy and David, to talk about all things quilt. Hey guys, how are you doing?
We're great. Thanks, Eric.
Great to be here.
Yeah. So tell me who you are.
Well, I'm Betsy Grasby, Executive Director of the Steamboat Art Museum, and I am thrilled to introduce our feature artist of Art of the Quilt, David Taylor.
Thank you, Betsy.
We're delighted to be on the program and to have David here. David's a 23-year resident of Steamboat Springs, and unfortunately, due to an explosion in his house and studio, relocated to New Hampshire. So having we would like to call him almost like a native son in Steamboat means so much to us.
I still feel like I belong in Steamboat. Yes, and it was very sad, but I managed to make it through, and I'm back stitching in my studio again. I would rather have not had the explosion and fire. But
So 10 years ago, there was a retrospective of your work.
was it that long?
That was 10 years ago in the Steamboat Art Museum, which was about 1/3 the size that it is now. And now in our beautifully renovated museum.
I remember when I came to see it after the expansion, and you said, "Are you interested in having another exhibit?" And I thought, I don't know if I can fill this big of a space all by myself. And so that's where we came up with that idea to include other Colorado quilters.
So, and David's is a feature artist, but you did so much to enable us to have the wonderful Denise Labadie,
Yes, awesome.
whose very contemporary work is so different. And then longtime quilters and friends, and actually the one that caused your addiction to quilting,
That is correct.
Madeline Vale and Jackie Grimaldi.
Yes.
So
It was 21 years ago that Madeline had suggested that I try this quilting thing. She said, "I know you're going to love doing this because you like working with fabric. You should try this quilting." And I said, "There's no way. That is not on my radar. That's nothing I was interested in doing." And she's like, "I think you'd be really good at it. You should try it." And so we worked on a first project together, which is something you're very familiar with, with strings in the mountains back then. And we created a quilt to be auctioned off for the summer concert series. And that quilt sold at auction
for $20,000.
$25,000.
It was a really good summer after that, David, for strings.
Good. And I couldn't believe that's something that I helped to create. I still consider that Madeline's quilt, but and there's actually across over there on that other wall, there's a new version of that quilt. But I consider that Madeline's quilt. But it got me interested in maybe I can do this. Maybe this is something that I should try. And so then the quilt that I made immediately after that is hanging here because this is like a retrospective of my last 20 years of making quilts.
It's absolutely brilliantly done. And so we encourage you to get in here. We've got one more week of this show because to experience this quilt is truly phenomenal. And it's just such a pleasure to have you here.
Well, it's great to be back. It's great to see you.
Exactly.
I appreciate both of you guys for being on TV today. And I am just in awe of your work, David. And if I may ask a question as well.
Certainly.
So what would you tell to our viewers if somebody's sitting at home thinking, wait a second, that thing behind you guys isn't a painting, that whole thing is a quilt, and they're inspired and they want to get into quilting themselves. What would you tell anybody interested in getting into quilting like you have?
Well, the short answer of that is you have to love fabric and you have to buy a lot of fabric. And to be true, if you want it, there's different kinds of quilts. If you want to be an art quilter like I am, be true to yourself, be true to your art, and you have to love what you do. I love fabric, and I love creating with fabric. That's all you need. You have to love what you do.
Love what you do and spend tons and tons of hours doing it.
True.
Well, guys, I have a little bit of free time this afternoon. I'm going to swing on by there today to come check it out because I'm just blown away. I'll take a couple pictures and share them with everybody as well. Thank you so much for taking both of your time to be on the show with me this morning.
Thank you.
And we look forward to seeing you down here, Eric.
I will be there today. I promise you that.
Thanks.
Guys, stay tuned. If you love what you saw today, go check it out in person. The exhibit ends September 6th. That is my birthday and also the day that exhibit ends. So get down there to the Steamboat Art Museum. You will love it.